Right. So there is support, of course, and there is growth in the right direction. But then there are areas where statements of support are not followed by action. So the United States has in principle supported India's bid for permanent membership at the UN or membership to the Nuclear Suppliers Group. We've seen no progress on that front. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, in some areas, like India's entry into non-proliferation regimes, as much as India's made it in the regime so far, it's been through U.S. stewardship of that. So there's some areas like that where I think the United States has followed through as much as we can, but Nuclear Suppliers Group, there are other actors at play, China in particular, which have obviously been playing that blocking maneuver. In terms of the United Nations, I mean, you always have to look carefully at the language, which was so carefully crafted by the United States. India as a permanent member as part of a reformed United Nations. So that's really kind of parking it for some long distant future when there is a major reformation of the United Nations, less willing to offer full-throated support for India's membership immediately in that institution. And that's where I think as we see India start to pick up a bit more activity in the global security challenges the United States looks at. For instance, ISIS, the combat against ISIS, which 70 nations, many Muslim countries were active in the counter-ISIS coalition, yet India remained aloof. The relationship India maintains with Russia. Russia's invaded two countries. They're killing dissidents in the streets. So as India maintains, a strong relationship, a security relationship with Russia, I think these are all factors that, as the United States thinks about a seat on the UN Security Council,
but the United States president seems to have a very good relationship with Russia himself.
Well, I think overall the United States realizes that Russia, along with China, are the two main challenges that the world faces right now. So the president, is kind of off and on in terms of whether or not supporting the relationship with Russia. Congress has been very clear. I think administration officials outside the president have been very clear. Until Russia stops some of these activities that we think are destabilizing, trying to upend democratic elections, invading two countries, killing dissidents on the streets, it's going to be tough for the United States to, I think, understand India's continued relationship with Russia well.
And yet India has made concessions where no previous Indian government had made, i.e. Iran.
Yeah.
Iran remains a long-standing partner of India, strategic and cultural, and yet post the U.S. sanctions on Iran, India stopped buying oil from Iran. So India has walked, some would say, half the way.
I totally agree. I mean, the United States is a very tough partner to dance with, not just Iran, but also Venezuela, where India felt real pressure from the United States, trying to pressure India on Russia. I think, with Iran, it's a very mixed bag. I think there's a small number of senior officials in the United States that think that Iran is up there as a major security threat. Most think that there's not a better deal around the corner than the one we had. So I don't think you're going to find anything close to unanimity in the United States government, at least privately speaking, about withdrawing and pressuring countries like India to draw down. So Russia, a lot more unanimity. Iran, a lot less so in terms of direction of foreign policy and what that means for U.S. India relations.
Right. Bill, is this inability to get support for India's membership to the UNSC and the NSG, is this because of lack of political will in Washington, or does this betray America's waning influence in geopolitics?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not sure that the waning influence in geopolitics is fully established. I think there still could be a push for India. I think the fact is the dispute with Pakistan is so critical here that it's going to be what holds everything off.
And what is holding back the United States government from taking a clear position when you've cut aid, when the president has repeatedly said that state sponsors of terror, not in so many words perhaps, need to be called out and acted against? What is preventing the U.S. government from calling a spade a spade?
I think the U.S. government will respond to terrorist attacks just like it supported India publicly when in February when the attack in Kashmir happened on the Indian troops, and it was quite clear and supportive that the United States was standing by India there, and in addition to that public supportive statement, the calls privately that India made to both sides, I think reflects how U.S. policymakers are calibrating on such issues.
Right, you're speaking like a diplomat. I have a few follow-up questions, but I'm out of time, so I'm going to thank you, Bill Clifford. Thank you very much for joining us from Washington, and Richard, thank you for being with us here.
Of course.